The flower of life awakening your Merkaba. Opening hook. You've encountered it countless times, etched into cathedral walls, carved in ancient temples, woven into corporate logos, and hidden within modern brands. A symbol so timeless and universal that your subconscious recognizes it instantly, while your conscious mind barely registers its presence. It's called the flower of life. But that's just one name among many. You might dismiss it as mere decoration, a piece of sacred geometry or ancient artistry. But what if I told you this symbol was never meant to be ornamental? What if it was specifically designed as a key to awaken something profound within you? The ancients understood something we've forgotten. Symbols aren't just art, they're technology. Living frequencies encoded into form. And one of the most powerful symbols ever created was designed to activate your Merkaba, your divine light body, your chariot of ascension, your interdimensional vehicle. Here's what's unsettling. This isn't some obscure, forgotten glyph. You're surrounded by it every day. The ancients used it to enlighten, but modern institutions may be using it for entirely different purposes, to influence, to distract, perhaps even to control. So ask yourself, why do you keep seeing this symbol? Why does it appear in the most sacred temples and the most powerful institutions? In this exploration, you'll discover the true purpose behind this mysterious pattern, why it's been hidden in plain sight, and how it might be the key to unlocking your soul's full potential. We are Chapter 1, the Merkaba, your divine light body. To understand the power hidden within this symbol, we must first grasp what it's meant to awaken, the Merkaba. This isn't metaphor or New Age fantasy. The Merkaba is an ancient, spiritual technology referenced in texts as old as the Book of Ezekiel, encoded in Egyptian mysticism, and preserved in Kabbalistic teachings. The word Merkaba comes from Hebrew. Mir means light, Kai means spirit, and Ba means body. Together they describe a chariot of divine light, a vehicle used by the soul to traverse dimensions. According to mystics and spiritual adepts throughout history, human beings exist on multiple levels: physical, emotional, mental, and energetic. At the highest level, we carry a dormant light body architecture. The Merkaba is the blueprint of that light body, a geometric field of energy, shaped like a star tetrahedron that, when activated, spins around the body at incredible speeds. Ancient records, from Egyptian priests to early Gnostics, describe this phenomenon with remarkable consistency. They spoke of wheels within wheels, spheres of rotating light, and beings who traveled across realms using this very form. The Merkaba isn't just a vehicle. It's said to grant the soul freedom from the cycle of reincarnation, access to the Akashic records, and direct communion with higher consciousness. It's a tool for ascension. Though this term is often misunderstood, ascension doesn't mean floating away into space. It means achieving spiritual mastery within the physical body, integrating higher and lower aspects of the self, and aligning with your divine purpose. The Merkaba, when fully activated, acts as a bridge between the earthly and cosmic, the seen and unseen. But here's the crucial point. Activation isn't automatic. The Merkaba must be consciously awakened, and that's where sacred symbols become essential, particularly the one that's been right in front of you all along. For Chapter 2, the flower of life, your activation key. If the Merkaba is your divine vehicle, then the flower of life is its ignition key. This symbol, appearing as a series of perfectly overlapping circles, is far more than an aesthetic pattern. It's a multi-dimensional geometric code that's been embedded in temples, tombs, and texts for millennia. We find the flower of life carved on the walls of the Temple of Osiris in Abydos, Egypt, etched with laser-like precision that continues to baffle modern archaeologists. It appears in Chinese temples, Islamic mosques, Jewish Kabbalistic diagrams, and Christian stained glass windows. It's embedded in Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, echoed in the hexagonal patterns of honeycombs, and even present in water molecules under specific frequencies. Why does this same symbol appear across cultures and millennia with such mathematical perfection? Because it encodes a universal law of creation, a harmonic structure that reflects how reality itself is constructed. Within the flower of life lies Metatron's cube, which contains the 5 Platonic solids, the fundamental building blocks of all matter. These forms are essential not only to geometry, but to atomic structure, crystalline formation, and energetic fields. Here's where it connects to the Merkaba. Inside the flower of life, When expanded through what's known as the fruit of life, we find the star tetrahedron, a three-dimensional structure of interlocked tetrahedrons, one pointing up, the other down. This is the geometric representation of the Merkaba. It's not coincidence, it's a map. Ancient mystics believed that meditating on this symbol would resonate with your own energetic structure, subtly aligning your biofield to the sacred geometry of the universe. This wasn't mystical speculation. The ancients understood resonance, frequency, and geometry far more deeply than we often credit them. The symbol wasn't merely decorative, it was functional. It was used in rituals, initiations, and spiritual training to unlock the dormant light body in initiates. Today, this same symbol appears in seemingly mundane places: logos, jewelry, corporate branding. Why? Because it still carries power, power to inspire, power to influence, and yes, power to activate. The flower of life is a living code, a frequency gateway that speaks directly to your subconscious, bypassing language and logic to reawaken ancient memories buried within your soul. When you recognize it, not just intellectually but intuitively, you begin to remember. And in that remembering, your Merkaba stirs. Chapter 3, The Hidden History. Why this knowledge was concealed. If the Merkaba is the key to spiritual freedom and the flower of life is the activation code, why doesn't everyone know this? Why has such a universally powerful symbol been reduced to wall art and jewelry? The answer is uncomfortable, but essential. This knowledge was hidden, deliberately. Throughout history, there have always been two streams of knowledge, one public, one esoteric. The public stream was ritualized, simplified, and moralized for the masses to guide behavior and preserve social order. The esoteric stream was preserved for the initiated few, those deemed worthy or capable of wielding true power. In ancient Egypt, the priests of Heliopolis guarded sacred geometry and light body teachings with their lives. The Merkaba was never taught openly. It was transmitted through coded language, ceremony, and symbol. Only those who passed through rigorous initiation rites learned how to activate the chariot of light. This wasn't mere elitism, it was protection. Protection for the knowledge and for the soul, because activating your Merkaba, prematurely or without proper inner preparation, could destabilize both mind and body. As empires rose and spiritual power became centralized, especially under the Roman Church, teachings that encouraged direct connection to the divine became threats. After all, if individuals can access higher realms, commune with the divine, and transcend reincarnation, they no longer need priests, institutions, or dogma. The response was predictable. Sacred geometry was demonized and labeled heretical. Mystery schools were shut down, their texts burned or hidden. Initiates were persecuted, sometimes executed. The symbols themselves were absorbed into religious art. Stripped of context, their function forgotten. The flower of life became decoration on a wall. The Merkaba became a forgotten term. The knowledge survived in coded form, hidden in Renaissance paintings, Kabbalistic diagrams, Sufi poetry, and Masonic architecture. But the keys to interpret them were severed from public access. Ironically, the very organizations that suppressed these teachings often preserved them for their own use. Elites, secret societies, and high-ranking clergy studied what the masses were forbidden to see. They understood what these symbols could do, but kept the activation methods cloaked in metaphor and mathematical puzzles. It wasn't until the late 20th century that voices like Drunvalo Melchizedek, Nassim Haramein, and others began revealing the scientific and energetic structure of the Merkaba, drawing connections between sacred geometry, consciousness, and light body activation. But centuries of suppression left deep wounds. Most people today still believe spirituality is about belief rather than activation. They mistake sacred symbols for decoration and dismiss esoteric knowledge as superstition. As a result, the human soul remains in dormancy. You were born into a world that taught you to ignore these codes, that ridiculed what your soul instinctively knew to be true. But here's the paradox. Even buried, truth cannot be erased. Universal truth finds ways to survive. That symbol, etched on ancient temple walls and hiding in modern corporate logos, is whispering to your soul again. It's not gone. It's not lost. It's been waiting for you to remember. Chapter 4, Modern Manipulation. How sacred symbols are used today. It would be comforting to believe that the flower of life and other sacred symbols are simply relics of the past, dismissed by modern society and left to spiritual seekers. But the reality is far more complex. These symbols are still actively used, but not to awaken you. They're used to influence, shape perception, direct energy, and subtly manipulate the subconscious mind. Look around. Major corporate logos and government institutions are saturated with esoteric geometry, from hexagons in defense seals to vesica pisces in financial institutions, from pyramidal structures on currency to national architecture. These aren't random design choices. They're deliberate incorporations of sacred forms, once reserved for temples and initiation chambers. Why would governments and corporations embed these symbols into their identity? Because these patterns carry vibrational signatures that the subconscious recognizes, even when the conscious mind doesn't. Ancient mystics understood that symbols bypass logic and speak directly to the subtle body, evoking trust, awe, obedience, or alignment depending on the geometry used. This is symbolic technology, not mere branding. Those in power use it, whether intentionally or unconsciously, as a form of energetic influence. Consider why the United Nations logo features a flat earth map, enclosed in laurel leaves, echoing ancient wreaths of divine rulership, why tech companies mimic the all-seeing eye, or why elite families throughout history have used the hexagon, cube, or spiral in their heraldry and monuments. In twisted irony, symbols once used for liberation are now employed for control. But let's be precise, the symbol itself isn't the villain. The geometry is neutral. It's the intention behind its use that determines its impact. When an awakened individual meditates with the flower of life, they align with cosmic order, harmonize their biofield, and potentially awaken the Merkaba. But when the same symbol is placed unconsciously into society, without context, without purpose, it becomes a dormant circuit, or worse, a tool for passive compliance. This is why so many people feel disconnected, fragmented, or spiritually numb despite being surrounded by sacred codes. The system has inverted the use of spiritual symbols. Instead of awakening the masses, it numbs them. Here's the key. These symbols are only powerful when engaged actively. They don't awaken you merely by being seen. They awaken you when you learn to interact with them consciously, intentionally. Chapter 5. The Science Behind Sacred Geometry. To dismiss sacred symbols as superstition ignores emerging research at the intersection of neuroscience, quantum physics, and consciousness studies. Modern science is beginning to validate what the ancients knew. Intuitively, geometry shapes reality, not just physically, but energetically and neurologically. When your eyes perceive the flower of life or star tetrahedron, your brain does more than register an image. It responds on multiple levels, activating neural networks involved in pattern recognition, spatial awareness, and emotional regulation. Studies in neurosymbolism reveal that sacred geometry stimulates the default mode network, the brain region, linked to self-referential thoughts, memory, and imagination. Activating this network can shift consciousness from fragmented ego states to more integrated wholeness. At the quantum level, resonance patterns encoded in these geometries correspond to natural harmonic frequencies, governing everything from crystal lattices to DNA structures. When you focus awareness on these symbols, you're essentially tuning your body's subtle energy field, the biofield, to align with universal frequencies. This process isn't passive. It requires intention, presence, and practice. That's why meditation and breathwork, combined with visualization of these forms, have been used for centuries. The spinning Merkaba field is described as interlocking tetrahedrons, rotating in opposite directions at precise speeds. This creates a torsion field that alters energy flow around the body and can facilitate interdimensional travel. Profound healing and heightened spiritual perception. Scientific experiments in torsion, physics, and energy medicine are beginning to validate these claims. Devices that mimic torsion fields have shown effects on cellular regeneration, consciousness modulation, and even time perception. The flower of life acts as a template for this torsion field. By meditating on it or visualizing its forms, you stimulate the activation pathways of your own Merkaba. This isn't just mystical experience, it's biological and energetic recalibration, realigning your internal systems with the cosmic blueprint. However, activation isn't automatic or instantaneous. The symbol opens the door, but you must walk through it. You must engage with the frequency, actively surrendering mental constructs and habitual perceptions. When done correctly, this activation can lead to profound shifts, inner peace, expanded consciousness, and the experience of oneness with all life. But without proper guidance, many attempts end in confusion, frustration, or energetic imbalance. Understanding the precise geometry and correct technique matters. Resource Chapter 6. Practical Activation, your step-by-step guide. Activating your Merkaba isn't mystical fantasy. It's a practice rooted in geometry, breath, and focused intention. The flower of life and its derivative forms serve as blueprint and gateway for this activation. Here's a distilled step-by-step guide to begin the activation process. Step 1. Prepare your space and mind. Find a quiet, undisturbed place. Sit comfortably with your spine straight. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths to center yourself. Your goal is to calm mental chatter and enter receptive awareness. Step 2. Visualize the flower of life. With eyes closed, visualize the flower of life pattern before you, glowing softly with radiant light. See the interlocking circles forming their intricate, harmonious design. Feel its energy expanding and vibrating gently. Step 3. Focus on the star tetrahedron. From the flower of life, mentally extract the star tetrahedron, the three-dimensional Merkaba, shape formed by two interlocking pyramids. Imagine this geometric field spinning slowly around your body. Step 4. Activate the 13 points of light. Within the Merkaba geometry lie 13 key points, each corresponding to energy centers around your body and field. Focus on each point sequentially, imagining a bright ball of light igniting and spinning faster at each location. Step 5. Breath and spin. Synchronize your breath with the spinning Merkaba field. Inhale deeply as the field spins clockwise, exhale as it spins counterclockwise. This rhythmic breathing harmonizes your physical and energetic bodies, stabilizing the light body field. Step 6. Intention and affirmation. Silently affirm your intention. I activate my Merkaba. I align with divine light, truth, and protection. Repeat this mantra gently while maintaining visualization and breath rhythm. Step 7. Hold and expand. Maintain this state for 10-15 minutes. Allow the light body to awaken and the Merkaba field to stabilize. You may experience sensations of warmth, tingling, or subtle perceptual shifts. These are natural signs of activation. This practice, rooted in sacred geometry and ancient esoteric knowledge, acts as a key to unlock your dormant spiritual potential. The Merkaba is your soul's vehicle, capable of traversing dimensions, healing deep wounds, and connecting you to universal consciousness. Remember, the symbol itself isn't magic. The magic arises from your active participation, your focus, breath, and intention. Countless spiritual teachers throughout history, from Egyptian priests to Kabbalistic sages, have hidden these methods in metaphor and symbol to protect their power from misuse. But now, with this understanding, the power is yours to reclaim. As the book of Ezekiel describes, the Spirit lifted me up, and behold, a chariot of fire. This chariot is the Merkaba, the divine light body awakened through geometry, breath, and conscious will. Closing, your invitation to awaken. The symbol you've encountered throughout your life was never mere decoration. It's a living code, an ancient key designed to unlock the dormant power within you. The Merkaba, the chariot of light, the blueprint of your spiritual vehicle, waits patiently, encoded in sacred geometry, ready to awaken. Now that you understand its significance, the question becomes, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you allow it to remain a beautiful pattern, something to admire from afar? Or will you take the next step and use it consciously, actively, to activate your Merkaba and begin your own journey of spiritual ascension? Remember, awakening isn't about escaping reality, it's about mastering it. Transcending fear, fragmentation, and limitation, stepping into your full power as a multidimensional being of light. This knowledge was hidden, suppressed, and misunderstood for millennia, but truth has a way of resurfacing. The flower of life and the Merkaba aren't relics of the past. They're invitations to the future. The light is within you. The symbol is around you. The time to awaken your Merkaba is now.